My own father said, "We wish you'd never been born." I looked him in the eye and replied, "Wish granted. Live your lives as though your son James never existed." The entire restaurant went silent. I was 9 years old when I realized I was just an insurance policy for my family's reputation. My father, a high-powered corporate litigator, and my mother, a socialite who treated charity galas like Olympic sports, didn't want a son. They wanted a trophy, but I wasn't a trophy. I was a human being with a stutter and a passion for coding that didn't fit their old money aesthetic. For 24 years, I played the part. I went to the schools they picked. I took the internship at the firm they chose. I even endured the constant comparisons to my perfect younger sister Margaret. Last night was the breaking point. It was my father's 58th birthday dinner at the Sterling Terrace, the kind of place where the wine costs more than a month's rent and the waiters move like ghosts. My entire extended family was there. The tension started when my father announced he was officially handing over the family's private trust management to Margaret. I wasn't surprised. I didn't even want the money. But then he leaned in, his voice carrying across the table during a lull in the music. "Don't look so sour, James," he sneered, loud enough for the neighboring tables to turn. I said nothing, just took a sip of water. "You've always been the weight around our necks," my mother added, her eyes cold as ice. "Always the disappointment. Honestly, the only reason we kept you around was out of duty." Then my father delivered the kill shot. He stood up, wine glass in hand, looking at me with pure, unadulterated disgust. "Sometimes, in our quiet moments, your mother and I talk about it," he said, his voice booming now. "We wish you'd never been born." The restaurant went dead silent. I could hear the hum of the air conditioner. I could see the woman at the next table cover her mouth in shock. Margaret looked down at her plate, but she didn't defend me. No one did. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt a strange, crystalline coldness wash over me. I pushed my chair back slowly. The screech of wood on marble was the only sound in the room. I stood up, straightened my tie, and looked him directly in the eye. "Wish granted," I said. My voice didn't shake. It was the calmest I've ever felt. "From this moment on, live your lives as though your son James never existed." My father scoffed. "And how do you plan to do that? You live in the apartment we pay for. You drive the car I bought." I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had been holding a winning hand for 7 months. "Actually, Dad, I moved out 3 weeks ago. The car is sitting in your driveway with the keys in the exhaust pipe." I pulled a thick envelope from my inner jacket pocket and tossed it onto the white tablecloth. It landed right in his dinner plate, splashing sauce onto his expensive shirt. "What is this?" he hissed. "That," I said, "is the itemized bill for every cent you've spent on me since I turned 18, interest included, paid in full via wire transfer this morning." I looked around the room, making eye contact with every relative who had spent years whispering behind my back. "But more importantly," I continued, "that envelope contains a copy of the acquisition contract signed yesterday. You know that Pipe Dream tech company? They just bought the majority stake in your firm's primary debt holder." My father's face went from flushed red to a ghostly, sickly white. You can't," he stammered. "I can, and I did. I own your overhead now. I am the reason your firm stays afloat next quarter." I leaned down, whispering so only he could hear, though the silence was so heavy, I'm sure the whole room caught it. "I'm erasing myself from your life just like you wanted. No more calls, no more disappointments. But every time you walk into your office, you're going to remember that you're working for the son you wish was never born." I turned to my mother. "Goodbye, ma'am. I hope the reputation was worth it." I walked out of that restaurant without looking back. My phone started blowing up before I even hit the valet. First my mother, then Margaret, then my father. The same man who just told me I shouldn't exist was now begging me to be reasonable. I didn't block them. That's too easy. I changed my legal name this morning. I've gone completely dark. They have no son. They just have a creditor. And for the first time in my life, I can finally breathe.